So that would bring me to my next question, your latest discovery. You know, with the resistor and the circuit and changing the swamp amps and something you discovered recently that you never really knew about before you found by accident.
Yeah, is this off?
No, it's on now. I just turned it back
You
on.
just put it back on.
So you don't have to go in completely in depth and give the secrets away, but it's you the swamp amp. You discover something that changes the sound of it, and so it's rounder, fuller, a little bit different now. This would be of interest to anyone that owns a swamp now because it's a change in how you actually physically build the amp.
I'm glad you reminded me because people may get on the site and I can't call up everybody, you know, all over. Sometimes I'm not busy, and I always worry if I'm not, but I stay fairly busy. And I've raised the amplitude of the amp, and by the change of a minor change, I might add, in the removal of just one resistor, and it's such a simple change, and it was part of the original design, and I don't mind telling everybody that I started out to build what would be an American sound. And where do you look for an American sound and what do you listen to? It's American amps, the Gibson, the Fender, for certain. And after, I've only been building this amp for 15 years, but I still do experiment and change things and listen to see if it can be improved on, say it that way. Well, one of the things I was doing was changing the grounding, and grounding can have some effect on the amplifier. And it's even if it's not in the signal path, because anything that is wrong in grounding as you go up in volume is superimposed to some degree, at least, on the signal. So I was working on this. I had the time to do it, and I was removing grounds and adding grounds and putting grounds together. And of course, the reason you do this is it makes it less susceptible in an actual playing situation with other people for a ground loop. It helps a lot. And it's so complex that anybody tells you they know anything about it, it's because they don't understand that they don't know anything about it. And right. I'm one of those people. I don't know anything about it, and that's why I was experimenting. And when you do it, you sometimes turn up something that you never anticipated. I found out I didn't even need a ground on one resistor. Just a simple thing, but actually it improved the amplifier. And I never stumbled on it when I was in the design, and I didn't do this overnight. I built 4 or 5 amps that worked, but looked on them as failures because they weren't what I was solving for at the time that I was building the amp. And when I did this, I was pretty happy. I thought, well, gee, this can't be. But it is. And anybody out there that's got a swamp amp should call and talk to me, send me a round-trip ticket. I'll fix it for $25 and rebias the tubes and whatever's necessary. It's not a big thing to do. I just don't know as I want to call everybody, and they might even be able to do it themselves.
So to be specific, the change in the resistor actually changes the amp where it has not only more output, but a more fuller, rounder type of output as well. And it's maybe even a quieter amp too.
That's true, and I've never been one to try to get as much power out of an amp as I can get. Because part of what you hear when you're listening to an amplifier, like at an outside gig and you're 200 feet away or 500 feet away, isn't necessarily the power of the amplifier, it's the frequencies. And if you got the full frequencies, it makes up for a lot of other things. And it sounds better.
Right.
It always reminds me of the ad that Marshall ran with a hand grenade. That was a terrific ad, and and it made an impression on me. That was a lot of years ago. Loud isn't everything.
Right.
It is so true. Uh, I like loud, but not loud at the expense of losing the parent signal.
Right. Yeah.
You want it in there.
Tone and the character of it says a lot.
You got to keep the character of the amp, whatever it is. That's why you play it. You like it, and it's not just true of my amp. It's true of any amp. There's good amps out there, and if they start doing this, going sideways or something, after you get up to 80 or 90 dB, in a big room, that's not a good situation.
Right. Right. Definitely so.
And it's something the board can't take care of.
So that's